So we're just going to continue where we left off in part two. If you haven't seen part two, go back and see that. We set up everything with the user controls. And in the first part, what we did was we went over our documentation. And we just keep referring back and forth to the documentation every time we need to make an adjustment or make some advancements inside of our Visual Studio project file. So right now we're just going to move forward since we have everything set up. We're going to go ahead and start coding. And the first thing I want to be able to do is go ahead and start this, have this because this is going to be the game scene, but I really want to just be able to load this into the main window, because as you can see here, the main window, where is it? Right here, the main window is blank. So when I run it, hit play, the main window shows up like this, like it's supposed to. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and start declaring these user controls as variables inside of the main window. So I'm going to go here to the main window. I'm going to click on the code down here, and what I want to be able to do is first I'm going to declare a sub new, the instantiation. So when the main window is instantiated, I can be able to define and to be able to do any preliminary adjustments to my application, before anything else happens. So I'm just going to hit type sub new, and I just click enter. It'll type the rest. I don't really need these comments here. And this right here is what will happen when the window first opens. But just keep in mind, whatever you type inside of here, it must be after this, because this will initialize all the components. And if you put anything before this will cause some errors. Before anything happens, just as part of this class, I want to be able to go ahead and create some variables. And the variables will be of these user controls right here. So the first variable I want to be able to make is a start screen. So I'm going to say dim start screen as you see start screen. And then I'm going to dim the other ones, but first I want to at least see this work before I do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and create a function here called defining controls. So all my controls will be defined inside of a procedure subroutine that I'm going to create. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. Like if I want something like this, and I said sub, let's say if I said I'm gonna make this out of a private sub, and I'm gonna say define user controls, because I know I'm going to be defining a lot of user controls, so I want them all to be in a particular routine. And I can just open and close that. I can do that, and then I can start defining my adding all of my information inside of here. There's another way to do this. If I already know I'm going to add that here, what I can do is I can just type the name here and put define user controls. So I'm going to put define user controls. I'm going to open and close. I'm going to hit enter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my mouse over. You see that little light bulb? I'm going to put it over that, and then it'll ask me if this is what I meant, because it doesn't exist. It's going to say, do you want me to generate that method? And I'm going to hit yes, and it'll write it for me, and all I got to do is get rid of that. So there's two ways to be able to make your methods and to kind of go with the flow of your application. Another one I'm going to need, aside from this one, is to be able to start my application. So I'm going to start the game. Start game. Okay, yeah. And I'm going to do this one the easy way. And here's my start game that was written. So now I have everything here typed, and now I can go ahead and start defining everything inside of my define. Excuse me. Now that I have this written, I can go ahead and start defining everything inside of my define user controls method. And the first thing I want to define, because this is the only one I have created, is my start screen. So I'm going to say start screen equals new start screen, and I'm going to open and close that. And keep in mind, I'm only doing one, so that way when I do the other ones, I know that it works. And now what I need to do to this start screen is, this is probably a very important point here. I want to, let me open up this start screen. Okay, and I'm going to drag the start screen tab down and put it to this side. So what I want to be able to do to the start screen is this button here, which I did not name in the last video, which I should have. I was supposed to do that. I'm sorry about that, but we need to name all these buttons. So while I'm here in my user control, my start screen user control, I'm going to go ahead and name these buttons. So this is BTN start, BTN instructions, and this is BTN exit. Alright, so that's in the start screen, and I don't think I need to worry about anything in the other ones. I can do this, BTN close. Okay. Make sure you save all your work. So now in this start screen user control, I want to be able to access the start button so that it goes to the next level. But I also want to be able to access this exit button so that it exits everything. And this one can probably be accessed inside of the user control itself, but we'll see from here. So for right now, let me go ahead and make what's called an event handler. I want an event handler to handle this button click even though it is not inside of the main window here. So that's why I have to create an event handler, because it will be handling when this button is clicked in the user control, which is not the main window. I want the main window to handle it. So add handler start screen, this right here. Add handler start screen dot btn, and you notice how it says exit, right, or instructions or start. So I'm going to add btn start, and I want the click event of the btn start, and I'm going to say address of, and the addresses is going to be of a function that we haven't written yet. But normally you want to name that function the same name as the procedure or the variable that is connected to. And so I'm going to name that underscore click because it is taking this button clicks event. So start screen button click. And then from there what I can do is I can use that same technique. Is I can go ahead and I can have it generate the procedure for me, or you can just go ahead and write it. Either way, it works the same. So this right here, when the button is clicked, this is what will be run right here. So when the user control button is clicked, this will run. Alright, make sure you save your work, and even though we didn't do much, I want to go ahead and run it just to make sure that there's no weird crashes or anything like that. So that's all good. So now that we have our user controls and we have our event handlers, we want to go ahead and add this start to our main window. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go inside of our start game procedure right there. We're going to go inside of our start game, and then we go ahead and start the game by adding the main window to our grid, to our main canvas grid. So if you go into your main window and you go into the XAML, what you can do here is you can take this grid and we want to change it to a canvas. So I'm just going to type canvas, and then I'm going to name that canvas. I'm going to say name equals main canvas. Okay, and I can leave that like that. So I have that main canvas, and now what I want to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and say main canvas, as you can see there, dot children, children dot add, and because I created the new one here, and define controls, as you can see, define controls comes before start game. So it defines the controls and the event handlers. I already created it as a new user start screen, so all I got to do is add that to the canvas. So now when I run it, I should be able to see the start page. Nope, let's see what's going on here. Oh, sorry. I put that in the wrong spot. I put that in the start screen click. So that makes 0 sense. I was supposed to put it here inside of the start game procedure because that's what we're running here. So sorry about that. This is, and I didn't even read my note, by the way, so I should have read my note that I put there. All right, so let's move forward. I'm gonna hit F5 and run that, and it does pop up, but you notice you don't see the image. Now this is an issue of our references not being added in the compiler as it's compiled. Our resources are not being added as is being compiled. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to go inside of our resources. If this happens to you, we're going to go inside of our resources and we're going to select the first picture, and then we're going to hold shift down and select the last picture so we have them all selected. Then we go down here to the properties and we want to put all of these as resources, and we want all of these to copy always, so it copies into our directory. So now after we do that, then what we have to do is we have to go to where we have our image and reselect the image, because what will happen is this will then change to resources / game start, whatever the name of the image is. Okay, so we got to do that to the other user control. So if I go to this user control, I have this image selected. If you look down here, I'm sorry, over here in this one right here, you will see the sources. The source says pack site foreign. It's not really looking for the resource. So really what I want to be able to do is take off this pack part and just have it just say resource. As you can see over here in the parameters, it's the same, level 2. So if I select level 2, it just says resources / and then the name of the item, the image. So we have to do that to all the images that we added before, and I think we only added 2. We added this one, and actually no, there was another one that we added. The next level, and then the start screen, and then the game start. Let me see this. Right, so this one. So I'm going to select the image inside of here, and I'm going to go here and reselect the image, basically. And the name of this image was, or I can just not reselect the image, just get rid of that first part, and just leave it as resources Simpson's Day, and hit enter. There, now these will load. So now when I run it, I'll be able to see that this loads. There we go. So now we have this loading inside of the main window, and now we want to go ahead and start programming the start so that we get to the next window. And we can program these in any order we'd like, but I think I'm going to go ahead and start with progressing the game forward from here. Actually, since we're here, the easiest one really to code would be this exit right here. So I'm going to create an event handler over here, a click handler, to address the exit button so we can exit the game. Handler start screen, no, start screen dot btn exit dot click, and then the address of, and the address will be of, instead of start screen, we'll call it the same thing here, start screen exit dot click. Yeah, start screen exit dot click, that's fine. And actually I want to change the name of this one, so I have to change this. So whenever you want to change the name of something, the easiest way to do that is select it, right click, rename, and now it's going to rename every instance of that. So I'm going to rename this to start, and then I can hit enter, and as you see, it renamed this and it renamed that. So this one right here, I'm going to go ahead and generate that procedure, and this one is just going to exit the entire application. me dot close. Alright, so let's try this out, see if it works. That one worked. That's good. So we're moving ahead. So the next thing we want to go ahead and do is maybe just get our instructions going, and then we'll get to the game. So we have the exit going, we'll get the instructions going, then we'll get to the game. So I'm going to go ahead and create an event handler for the instructions. So I'm going to go down here, and instead of btn exit, I'm going to say btn instructions dot click, and instead of exit, I'm going to call this instructions. btn start screen instructions, click, and add that here. And basically when you hit the instructions, it's supposed to bring the instructions up, and I'm going to do that by saying I need to be able to create this user control inside of here. So I have the start screen user control, but I need an instructions user control. So I'm going to go up here and dim myself instructions as UC instructions. And then I'm going to come down here and say instructions equals new instructions. And then I am going to come over here and I'm going to say instructions dot txt instructions, and maybe I should have made that a label. It's okay, we can just leave it like this. Content. Oops, content. Oh, not content, text. And that will equal instructions to the game. And yeah, I think we need to change the instructions from a text to, unless we make that text box enabled, because that means people can select inside of there and write in there. Let's just make sure. Okay, so I'm going to put that instructions to the game, and then I'm going to add something to that called a VBCRLF, and that's going to be like a carriage return. I'm going to add 2 of those. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to add something else to that. And then more game instructions here. Okay. So now I have these instructions. When this button is clicked, when the instruction buttons over here is clicked, this is going to run. This is going to happen here. And then what I want to now be able to do is add it to my main canvas, the same way I added those other things to the main canvas. So it's going to happen on top of all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and run that and see how that's working out. So there we have it. We have our instructions, and now the instructions has a button here that we need to make work. So we're going to go ahead and code that button in the instructions. So in here, we're going to create another event handler. And I'm going to add an event handler for the instructions. So the instructions.btn close .click, and it's going to be the address of. I think I should just call that close instructions or something like that. Yeah, close instructions _ click. That should be good. And then I'm going to create that procedure. and that's going to be right here. And when I close the instructions, I'm just going to remove instead of add from the main screen. So I'm going to remove main canvas dot children dot remove, and I'm just going to say instructions. Oops. All right, so now when I click on the Xbox with instructions, it should work. Let's see. Here we go. Play. So the start doesn't work, that's obvious. And here are my instructions, and I can open and close my instructions at will, and I can exit the game. So we're making some progress, and what we're going to now do next is we're going to do the start game part, which is the main part of the entire application. So I'll see you guys in the next video.